Hi, hello, welcome back. So in this video, we are going to learn about the collections in SCCM. So we are going to learn what are the collections, what are the type of collections, what are the use cases of the collections, as well as we'll try to create what are the query based collections, what are dynamic collections, and how to create collections, how to include and exclude collections, what is the maintenance window. So we'll talk about everything in detail about the collections. So if I talk about collections in simple language, collections is a group of device or a users that comes together or that share a common attributes in SCCM to solve a purpose, and that purpose could be anything. If it might be deploying a software, it might deploying an applications, it might be deploying a setting, or it might be deploying a software update, it might be fetching a report by creating a collections for a specific users. That is known as a collections. If I further simplify it, take it, I would like to explain it by giving an example. Suppose I have a set of 10 users that use a laptop machines, and I wanted to deploy a set of application, like I wanted to deploy Google Chrome and Adobe Acrobat reader on their machine. So what I will do, I will create a collections that will be a logical group of devices. I will create a collection, I will add those 10 devices into that collections, and then I will deploy the application. So this is the nice easiest example of a collections and their use cases and their use case. Now when it comes to collections, there are two types of collections. One is your built-in collections and one is custom collections. So built-in connections are those collections which are created at the times of when the SCCM was installed. This is called as built-in collections. And the custom collections are the collections which we or the administrator has created for their requirement, or as per their requirement. Suppose I have created a collection. Suppose this is a collection and it has 10 machine where I have deployed an application. So this would be the example of our custom collections. Got it? So this is how it work. There are two types of collections, built-in collections and custom collections. Okay, now this is clear. One more example, one more thing. Now, even in the collections, we have subcategories. We have called users collections and our device collections. Users collections as collections which is created on users basis, which is got discovered from your Active Directory. Those are called as users collections, and device collections are the collections of your machines. It could be your Windows machine, it could be your Windows 10, Windows 11, or a server operating system. These are called as device collections. So the difference is clear. The collections which contain users on it is called users collections, and the collections that have device in it is known as device collection. In the below table, you will find collections and their descriptions. So these are some of the example of inbuilt collections that got created during the SCCM installation. So for the first collection is all users group. So this is the collections that contain all users from which is discovered from Active Directory group discovery. So this is the collections for user group that is got discovered from Active Directory during the or that which got discovered from the discovery method in your users groups. So this is called as all users group. All users, this contain all users who are discovered by Active Directory users discovery. Okay, this was group discovery and this is user discovery. So this collections contain all users that are get discovered using Active Directory users discovery. Now all users and groups, this is the collections that include both the above, this one, all groups and all users. So in the single collections you will be able to find users as well as group. This is called as all users and users groups. Now we have all desktops and server client. Now this is the collections that contain server and desktop devices, and the members is maintained by Heartbeat Discovery. So it's contain both desktop and server client. Mobile devices this collections. Mobile device collections is collections which contain the mobile. In case if you have site data, if you have actually discovered the devices using exchange server connectivity, if you have enabled it, then you will be able to discover all of your mobile devices into this collections. Okay. Now system collections is a collections that contain all desktop, server client, mobile devices, unknown computer collections, and everything. Even if a device is enrolled to Intune, you will be able to find the device into all system. So it is a master collection, you can say. Okay, this is the master collections. Unknown computer are computer that have a generic computer record for multiple computers. So the machines like which do not have the SCCM client installed, or the machines which get imported for PXE purpose, or which we wanted to deploy a PXE, are the part of unknown computer. So, or the pre-stage media is also known as unknown computer. So this is the example of unknown computer. Now we have a co-management enabled devices. This is the collections where you will be able to find the devices which are the part of SCCM as well as the machines which are enrolled to Intune. So this is the collections which contain both of the devices. Got it? Now let's jump into the SCCM console and let's have a look into where these collections are and how these are look like. So we have to go to the asset and compliance, and we have to go to the collections. Now you can see we have both users collections and device collections. Now if I click on users collections, you will see all the users and groups, all users and groups. If I click on all users groups, in this collections you will only find the groups, security groups that are created on your Active Directory, and those groups have got synced into your SCCM console. Now second is your users. These are the users which we have created on Active Directory, and these have got discovered over here by using Active Directory users and groups. Now if I click on device collections, you will find that we have different collections which are the part of inbuilt collections. All device server and client, device mobile devices, provision devices, all systems, and unknown computers, and co-management enabled devices, the devices which have the Intune, which are also enrolled to Intune. Okay, these are called as co-management enabled devices. So these are the location where you actually find the groups and collections. Sorry, device collections and users collections. Now coming back to the slide once again, and now we have some of the use cases of collections. I mean, where the collections are being used. So one is grouping resources. Now, as we know, a collection is created to create a group of resources in your organization or in your hierarchy, so that you can deploy a set of application, set of policies, set of update, or a set of instructions. It could be a task sequence as well that we can deploy. So it is an example. Grouping is an example of dividing or distributing or dividing the infrastructure based on organization unit. Suppose I have an organization that has two branch. One is in London, one is in LA, and second one is in London. LN. This is Los Angeles and this is London. So we can create two collections. One, it contain the devices which are the part of this location. So it could be the discovery would work, the query would work on on site basis. This collection will have the users from London locations. So this is the example of grouping. Now this is the example of grouping. Now we can deploy applications. Application deployment. Now if you wanted to deploy any of the application, it's mandatory that you have collections in place. Now deployment can be various types. It can be users deployment, it can be department use deployment, it could be regional based deployment. So it is very important to have a specific collections for a specific deployment. So that's why application deployment is one of the use cases. Now the management of client setting. Management of client settings. Suppose if we wanted to have a control, or if we wanted a remote control of any specific devices, what you can do is you can create a collections and deploy a default client setting to that collections that allow the remote connections. So that is the example of client setting, client managed settings. Power management, this is very important. If you wanted to control the power options of the device, then that can also be used, that can be manipulated using collections. I will let you know where this collection is, where this setting is in the collection, so you can do that. Okay, role based RBAC. Now this is if you want collections control, I mean which users or which group of users can access the various functions on computer as on configuration management, that can be done from a collection. If I have created a collections where only 3 users can have access to the SCCM, this can be done it. And if you want granular level of access, you can do, they can need a read write of access, or they need a full access that can be controlled from uh, collections management. Now maintenance window. Maintenance window is defined during for various purpose. Suppose I wanted to deploy an update and I don't want that update to be deployed within the production hours. So what I will do, I will create a maintenance window that will be working from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. Then in case engineer has deployed an update on a collection, then those update or that application will not got installed until and unless this maintenance window get hid. So this is the another example of or a use case of maintenance window in collections. Now there are some key points about the SCCM collections. There are collections which is called as dynamic collections and static collections. Dynamic collections are the collections which are automatically updated using membership, and these collections are created based on query. So there is a query that is running on the backend which work to help this collection updated automatically. So these are called as dynamic collections. Suppose I have created an application for Windows 10, and in case I have a new device added to my Azure Active Directory, this is my AD, then whenever a sync will run, this a new device will automatically added to this collection. This is the called as dynamic collections. Now static collections. Static collections are the collections which are manually created, or which is defined the membership list. So if I wanted a collection, suppose I have last time I have taken an example, I wanted to deploy uh, users, suppose I wanted to deploy Adobe applications to 10 machines, and then when I have created that the specific for that specific 10 users, I have created a collections that is known as static collections. That is the example of static collections. There is no query is added. I have directly added these devices or users to collections in SCCM. These are known as static collections. Now membership rules. Now membership rule is Now, when it's come to membership rule, whenever we create a dynamic collection, then this membership rules comes into the pictures, and they and also when you wanted to exclude or include some kind of hardware model or users or a specific active directory group, in that case this dynamic groups comes into the picture or a membership rules comes into the pictures. Now, folder structures. To organize collections effectively, SCCMs do support folder structures. So collections can be grouped into folders and it make your life or a administrator life easily, and you can easily navigate when dealing with the large organization or where you have large number of collections in your SCCM. Suppose I wanted to create, I have different collections for applications, for Windows Update, for PXE. Then what we can do, we can create different collections. For OSD, I will create a different folder and I will move those collections into that folder. I will create a collection, a folder by the name of updates, and I will add all update related folder to that collections to that folder. So this is known as folder structure in SCCM, and it's work very well. Now, security. Security roles and permissions in SCCM determine who can create, modify, delete collections. Okay, and it's important to configure security setting to ensure that all your authorized personnel have the access to certain collections and actions. I will show you this example when we are doing the lab. Is all about collections. So now we will talk about, or now we will doing the lab, how we can create collections, dynamic collections, include, exclude, and everything. Without wasting any time, let's jump into the SCCM console and let's have some practical. All right, now we are back to the collections. Let's try to deep dive into the collections. Let's try to create collections and let's see what are the options that we get during the creation of the collections. So now to create any collections, you have to go to the device collections, right click and create device collections. Now you can also import a collections. If you have created it earlier, if you have a different site, you can do it from here as well. You could create the folders as well. In the we have seen that collections can be managed by creating a folder. So let's create a folder called dev test. This is for our testing. So I have created a test folder that is called a testing. Let's create another folder. Suppose this could be for our software update. This collection that we have created is for software update. Let's create a collection that would be for uh, prod. Let's make it for SCCM hyphen prod. This is our prod collections. So let's create a collection in dev and test. Right click on it, create device and collection. So first option that you will get a wizard where you have to give the name. Before I started creating the collections, let's see what are the devices that got discovered in our SCCM. So you can see I have couple of devices in our SCCM server, and you will find a difference that one of the device, that is GW1, has a active, that is a client active. That means this machine is having a SCCM client installed on it. We will have a different session on the SCCM client as well, how to install the SCCM client from the SCCM and how to install SCCM client from manually also. In case we need to uninstall also, how we can do it, what are the folders we have to take care where the logs can get created. So we will be having a different session on that. So we can see we have one client that is GW1. So let's have this client as our testing example, and let's play around it. So right click on dev and test, create a device collection. The welcome wizard will open. Let's put is suppose I wanted to create a collection uh, that is for let's create a direct collection. So it will be a direct collection. So direct collections means, okay, before we go into the limiting collections is the collections where you can actually limit the collections limit to another collection. This means that the collection being created only with the containing member of the limiting connection. Suppose a collection have hundreds of machines, another collections have only 50 machines, and I wanted my collection to be limited that the query will only search the devices or users from 50, the collections that have 50 users or devices. So I will limit that collection that only from this collections only the query will run. So that the example of limiting collection. So let limit it into all devices. Let's click next. Now you will you here, this is where you have to define the membership rule. So we have to click on add rule. We are creating a direct collection, so we'll create a direct. That means there is no rule is created. So what it's asking for a system resources. Now you have a different type of things. It is an unknown system resources or a provisioning device. So we have a system resource. Activity, we will put it same. Let's put it NetBIOS name. I have a NetBIOS name of the device. So in case if you don't have a NetBIOS name device, we can filter the other method as well. But let's do a NetBIOS name. The machine that we have with the active client was GW1, I guess. Let click next. It has searched it. Click select the device. Click next, next, close, next, and that's it. So now the collection is created, and if you see the member count is 0, member visible site is 0, and referred collection is 0. Now right click, let's update the membership, and it will evaluate the collections, and you can see there is one member count. If we open it, you will find the GW1, the active client is inside it. So this is how we can create a direct collection. Now let's try to create a collection with the help of query. So now I wanted to create a query where the operating system version I wanted to find. So I will put a query name that's the operating system version, OS version. Okay, I will browse it and limit it to all systems. Next, I wanted a query rule so that whenever a new system get added, it will automatically added into, or this collection will also get updated. Let's give a name, OS version, edit, criteria. Let's select a criteria. Now this should be a simple value. Let's select what we want. We want a operating system. So now you will find a huge list from which you can actually modify your query as per your need. So we want the operating system. So we'll go on operating system. Over here, what we want a build number. But before with that, we have to check what is the build version of GTW1. So GW1, let's see, go properties, and let's find the OS version, build version. So this is the build version. Let's take it, and we'll go back to the device and collection, create collection, OS version. We will limit it to all system. Click next. We'll have a query. A query name is OS hyphen version, edit. We'll go to the criteria. What we want attribute. What we want operating system, right? oh, sorry, we want operating system, type op, and what else we want build version. Okay, click. Now important thing, what is the operator that you wanted to do? Is it equals to, greater than, or what? Let's have a greater than, equals. No, I want equals to. Where, what? Let's have a build version, measure build version, this. So now what is this percentage sign? Is percentage is wildcard. If 2043 after and before, if this number contain anywhere in the OS version, this will get included. Okay, let's click OK. Now we have options to run the query as well. Let's run and check the preview query. Okay, now we have this greater than, we have changed the query to greater than equals to, and now we can see there is a machine available. We'll click on OK, we'll click on OK, we'll click on next, next, and close. Now we have two collections, one is direct collection and one is OS version. OS version is our query rule that we have created. Right click and update membership so that it easily can get evaluate the queries and collections. You can see there is one, and if I open it, it will be GW1. So this is how you create a query collections. So let's move back to devices, right click, device collection, and let's put a test. Let's limit it to all system, and we have further device category rule and include and exclude. So we need to create two different collections so that we can do a practical for this device include and exclude collections. So what I will do, I will be let's do one thing. Let's push the SCCM client on one of the RDC or any of our server operating system so that we can create two different collections, and one would be for client operating system and one would be for server operating system. And once those are created, we can play with this include and exclude collection, and then later on we can see this device category as well. So let's do one thing first. Let's go ahead and push the SCCM client, and then later on we will be playing around this include and exclude collections. So let's do it. Push the SCCM client, what we can do, we can right click. Let's do it on DC server or DC1. So we will go and right click. There would be an option called install client. Oh, here we go. So right click, next. We have to select the domain controller, allow the client to be installed, domain controller, allow the client and everything. Next, 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 finish. This will take, this is very simple. This will take around 10 to 15 minutes to push the SCCM client on DC server. So once the SCCM client is installed on DC1, it will be active. We will back and we will do the practical for include and exclude collections. Let's wait this client installation to be completed. SCCM client install on DC server 1, that is DC server domain controller 1, and we do have the client operating system, that was GW1, that is also having a SCCM client install on it. So let's do one thing. Let's go ahead and do the practical of exclude and include collections. So let's create two different collections. Let's create a collections for domain underscore server, domain server, and let have the limitation to all system, limit to all system, go, and let's put a query, and then no, let's not put a, let's put a direct, and I will put as a NetBIOS name. I think it was, the value was DC1. Yes, okay, click next, close. and finish. So I have a one collection domain server. It has one of the domain controller. Now let's create another collection. Let's have this server as a client OS. Let's put it as a client OS. Limit to all system. Click next. Okay, we already have this client OS. Let's not have a client OS. GW1 machine. Suppose I have given this name. Let's click OK. Let's have a direct rule. Next, let's put it as a NetBIOS name. The name was GW1 and it's there. Next, close, finish, and this is done. So now we have two different collections. One is the domain server and one is GW1. Suppose I wanted to have a collection in my environment that have a SCCM client installed. Okay, and let's limit it to this. Now there are two ways. Either I can write a query where I can give the criteria as a SCCM client, right, or a client status, right. I can give this option and I can make as a status equals to 1 or 0, 0 equals to 1 or 0, that it will automatically run and get the update. Collection will get updated. Now I also know that whatever in my environment, whatever machines are there, they have an active client. So what I can use a include collection. Suppose I use a option called now include, just like include domain server and include GW1. I know that these two collections are having the machines which have the active SCCM client. Let's include. Now you will see I have included these collections. Now what happened? If I click next and close, what will happen? There will be a new collections with the client installed with 01, with client installed, and as of now the member count is 0. If I right click and update the membership, you will find there will be two. Okay, now this single server has both the machine as a part of include. In case I will update any of these collections, this will automatically get updated. Understood? Now let's have a new collection. Let's have a new collection where we will do a exclude type of thing. SCCM client installed -no DC. That means I do not want my domain controllers to be part of this collection. So what I will do, I will have all system, because this all system has everything. Okay, now let's have include collections. Let's include everything. Now all eight machines should be the part of this collection, right? Because we have, let's amend it later. Let's do it. Finish. Now if I right click and if I update it, you will find that fine. See, all 8 machines got updated, but this collections was having no domain controller. But if I open this domain controller, if I open this collections, you will find the domain controller as a part of this machine. Now what I will do, I will amend this collection. I will right click on it and I will put a query, not exactly a query. I will edit membership rule and I will exclude a collection. Which collection I will exclude? I am going to exclude domain servers. Let's remove domain servers from it. apply, okay, and let's do a quick membership update. Now this will take another 1 minute and so to get the collection updated, and you can see earlier it was 8, now it is having 1. That means it has excluded, it has removed the SCCM server, the domain, sorry, not the SCCM, the domain control server from this collection because we have used the exclude collections. Now, coming back to the referred collections, because we have two collections in it, so it is giving the count to 2. Now, the exclude and include collections concepts is clear to you. These include and exclude collections are very important because when it is coming to the productions, there are number of scenarios where you have to exclude certain machines from the deployment that might cause that might cause an outage, or that might not require to be the part of the domain, and that not part to be the part of that collection. So in that scenarios, these are very important. So let's right click on this collections and try to understand the further options that we have inside this device collections. Now this is the journal tab. You have a name. If you want to have a comment, you can have this. This collection is created for install client that, and it does not have the domain controller included. If you wanted to have, you can have a complete. This is the limiting collections where you have actually limited it. You can change it anytime. If you wanted, you can change it. Now these are the devices type, and this is the collection ID that it is created, when we created, when the last it was updated, and when the last membership changed. Okay, these are the dates. If we go to the membership rule, we have already discussed it. What are the things that we need to include? Direct, include, query, exclude, include collections. And if I wanted to delete, I can click and delete it from here. If I want any incremental update to be updated into the collections, I have to check this option. So whenever a new device get updated into any of these collections in the member rule, it will automatically get updated. Okay, otherwise after 7 days the full scan will happen and then this collection will get updated. Now power management, if you wanted to apply the power management settings to it, you can do it and you can specify it from here. What is power management is similarly like, let me show you the power options that you will get on the control panel or on any of the machine, that is called as power management options. Ideally on server operating system you will not get the power. Oh yeah, there you get it. So if I go and search for power options, power plans, this is the power options that I'm talking about in the collections. If you want these settings to be applied from the SCCM for a particular collections, you can do it. Okay, this is called as power management. Deployment, if you deployed anything to this collections, that will reflect over here. That is the one of the way to find out. Otherwise you can click on collections and go into on below on the detail panel, and you can get those options over here as well. Let's go back to the properties. Now we have maintenance window. Maintenance window is the window that allow you to specify or that's allow you to configure or deploy a specific period of software update, applications or a task sequence at a given period of time. Suppose I have taken this example previously also. Suppose in case I wanted to deploy a software update to a machine, to a collections where the requirement is that the updates will only get installed after 5 p.m. Then I can have a maintenance window apply like software update 5 p.m. and I will give this as a PM and I will give this a time as a 10 p.m. that only the software update will get installed from 10 p.m. to 1 p.m. to 10 p.m. Let's make it 5 p.m. 5 p.m. to 10 p.m. Only 5 hours of window will be get. In case user is there, in case the deployment get trigger, it will not going to install until unless we have the maintenance window hit. Now we have further things. If wanted to recursive plan for it, you can put it as a monthly, you can as a weekly, you can as a put it as a daily. So these are the few of the options that you can change. Moreover, you have the type of deployment as well. You wanted to do with it for software update, and you wanted to do it for a task sequence, or you want to do it for all deployment. Okay, this is the concept of maintenance window. Okay, and let's go to the distribution point. So in case you have deployed something, and what are the distributions point that are associated, or the content is going to be delivered to this collections from which distribution point will be shown over here. And if you have a cloud sync enable, if you have Intune, and if you wanted your group to be synced from Azure Active Directory, you can create a group over here, and you can map it to, it will automatically map to your Azure Active Directory. So whenever you made some changes on Cloud Active Directory, that will get reflect over here, and if you made some changes from here, that will get reflect over here. Now these are the security permissions who get the who have the access to it, and these are some alert type that you wanted to apply in case you want what are the threshold, what are the client remediation, how much is it is failed success, then these kind of alerting you can put it from here. All right, so this was all about collections type, how to create it. So I hope this lecture will help you out. So in case you like the video, please like and subscribe.